Okay, now, you learn all these principles? Because now watch this. Now watch the destruction of Tobiah's finger. Where would Yahweh go when he's done talking to Abraham? So Yahweh said, the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is indeed great, and their sin is exceedingly grave. I will go down now and see whether they have done entirely according to its outcry, which has come to me. And if not, I will know. But notice he remained behind. Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, while Abraham was still standing before Yahweh. Now watch, 33. When he finished, he left. Genesis 18:33. And as soon as he had finished speaking to Abraham, Yahweh departed, and Abraham returned to his place. Now, two questions. Question number one, was Yahweh on earth appearing as a man? He didn't become flesh, didn't become human by nature. He appeared as a man. Appearing as a man is different from becoming a man. God only became man once from the Holy Virgin. But was Yahweh on earth as a man? Was he here with Abraham as a man? Number two, when he left Abraham, where was he going to go? You remember? Because watch what I'm setting you up for so that Tovia Swinger can never get away with his lies. Now, guess what, Camley? Surprise, David. Genesis 19:24-29. Here's the destruction of this liar. And Yahweh rained on Sodom and Gomorrah, brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of the heaven. Now, I'm confused. How can this Yahweh be in heaven when we just saw Yahweh was on earth? That's the argument, Korah. That's the argument. How can you have Yahweh out of heaven bringing brimstone and fire when we just saw Yahweh's on earth? That's how we know it is not Yahweh being referred to in the third person. That's how we know. It is not Yahweh being referred to in the third person, like Lamech spoke himself in the third person. Jesus, because the chapters have gone out of the way to show you Yahweh's on earth as a man. Whoever this Yahweh is out of heaven, he's different from the one on earth. But you're still not convinced. Uh-oh. You're still not convinced. Uh-oh. Let's read. Yahweh rained on Sodom and Gomorrah, brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. Notice verse 27. And he overthrew those cities and all the valley and all the inhabitants of the cities, what grew on this ground. Then his wife from behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Now Abraham, Tovia Singer, Korah, please don't use his argument against me. You're not going to get far with me. Now Abraham arose early in the morning, went to the place where he had stood before Yahweh. If you missed it, you were reminded. Abraham stood face to face with Yahweh on a spot on earth. He went to the very earthly location where Yahweh was there as a man standing before Abraham. Could it be any clearer? Yahweh's on earth. John 19:27. And he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the valley. He saw, and behold, the smoke of the land went up like the smoke of a furnace. You know that was a sign for Abraham? When Abraham went to the very location on earth, Abraham went to the very physical location on earth where Yahweh stood there as a man face to face with Abraham. And when he saw Sodom destroyed, you know what that was? God was telling Abraham, I couldn't even find 10 righteous. Abraham must have thought, had I only reduced the number and had I only not stopped at 10. But is it clear as day Yahweh's on earth? How many times does the narrator, when we believe Moses, say it? Abraham went to the place where he had stood before Yahweh. The place is on earth. Abraham wasn't in heaven. Yahweh's on earth then, as a man who ate food as a man. And as soon as he had finished speaking to Abraham, Yahweh departed. Abraham returned to his place. See? On earth. He's appearing as a man on earth, eating human food. Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, while Abraham was still standing before Yahweh. Your explanation ain't going to work, Tovia Schwinger. So who's the Yahweh on earth that brought brimstone fire from this Yahweh in heaven? There's a Yahweh on earth, and there's a Yahweh in heaven. And this Yahweh summoned that Yahweh to rain brimstone fire in Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, I'm going to tell you who the one on earth is. You ready? From Jesus. What did he say to him? What did he call Yahweh who was standing before him as a man? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put to death the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do justice? So Yahweh said, if I find in Sodom, who's the judge? Yahweh said, you the judge of all the earth. If I, Yahweh, the judge of the earth, find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare the whole place on their account. All right. Jesus, John 5:22. For not even the Father judges anyone, but he has given all judgment to the Son. But wait, you're still not seeing it? Here, Jude makes it even clearer. Who destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah? Here you go. Jude tells you. The earlier Greek copies and the oldest Greek copy of Jude 5, Jude 5, and the oldest surviving copy of Jude 5, go watch the sessions and articles on it. Papyrus 72, P72, date around 200s. The oldest copy we have of Jude verse 5 reads, the God Christ, God who is Christ. The earlier copies, very ancient ones, read Jesus, and the Latin reads Jesus in verse 5. That's why now all of your critical Greek New Testament editions used by scholars to translate into English, right? All of them have the word Jesus in their Greek critical text. I already did a session on that. You can go to the United Bible Society's critical Greek New Testament. You can go to the Nestle Aland critical Greek New Testament, Society of Biblical Literature critical Greek New Testament, Tyndale. They all have in verse 5 the word Jesus, because the manuscript evidence has convinced them that's the original reading. Why do I mention that? Here you go. Read here. Who destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah? Who destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah? Now, I want to remind you, though, you know all things, that Jesus, having once saved the people out of the land of Egypt, subsequently destroyed those who did not believe. So who destroyed Israel in the desert after saving them from Egypt? Jesus. But then who destroyed the angels during the time of the flood? And the angels who did not keep their own domain, but abandoned their proper road. He, who's he? Jesus, kept in eternal bonds under darkness for the judgment of the great day, just as Sodom and Gomorrah. Here Jude told you, Jesus destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. See it? Just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them, having indulged in the same way as these in gross sexual immorality, and having gone after strange flesh, are exhibited as an example and undergoing the punishment of eternal fire. You see, Jesus destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and he destroyed the angels at the time of the flood, and he destroyed Israel in the desert for their complaining after he saved them out of Egypt. So Jesus did, right? And if you want proof, Jesus is the one appearing to Abraham. Here it is. And then we're going to go into the Targums. Oh, by the way, Catholics, you know how your Douay-Rheims reads in Jude 5? There you go, Catholics. Based on the Latin Vulgate, Catholics, here it is, Douay-Rheims. I will therefore admonish you, though ye once knew all things, that Jesus. Remember, the Latin Vulgate is based on what Jerome produced in the 4th century from Greek manuscripts that he had access to that did not survive. Jesus, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, did afterwards destroy them that believed not. And the angels who kept not their principality, but forsook their own habitation, he, who's a he? Jesus, hath reserved under darkness everlasting chains unto the judgment of the great day. As Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities, in like manner, having given themselves to fornication, going after other flesh, were made an example, suffering the punishment of eternal fire. So the Jehovah, Yahweh on earth, was Jesus, and the Yahweh in heaven was the Father. And you're going to find the unanimous teaching of all of the early Christians. I have them in my articles. Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, Hippolytus, right? Tertullian, right? Athanasius. They all quote Genesis 19:24 as Jesus being Jehovah on earth, bringing fire from the Father who's Jehovah in heaven. All of them. Even the reformers, Martin Luther, all of them. But now let's go back here. Still not convinced? All right. Let me show you who appeared. According to Jesus, who did Abraham see? Genesis 18:25-26. Who is this that he's talking to? Jesus says to the Jews, you are not truly the sons of Abraham. Why? 10 more minutes will be done. 10 more minutes will be done. They answered and said to him, Abraham's our father. He's going to say, no, he's not. Because if Abraham's your father, you'll act like him, behave like him. Catch the words in verse 40 that many people don't catch, but you should, because I've mentioned this 10 million times. Jesus said to them, if you are Abraham's children, you would do the deeds of Abraham. You'd behave like him. But now you are seeking to kill me, a man who has told you the truth, which I heard from God. Now watch. Let me add all of this. You are trying to kill me, a man who told you to hear from God, This Abraham did not do. See, right there, you should be blown away. You know why you're not the children of Abraham? You know what's the proof you're not the children of Abraham? What's the proof? You see me, a man, tells you the truth from God, you want to kill me. Abraham did not try to do this. Abraham did not try to kill me, unlike you. See, Camley, you got it? Abraham did not treat me, do to me what you do want to do to me. You're trying to kill me, a man who's spoken to you from God. Abraham did not try to do that. Did not try to do what? He never tried to kill me. And therefore, you're not really his sons. You understand? Jesus is telling them, I saw your father Abraham. He saw me, but his reaction was different from yours. You want to kill me? He didn't try to do that. All right, then, Jesus, what was his reaction like? When he saw you, how did he react? Watch here, Christ warrior. How did he react? He didn't try to kill me. See, Abraham didn't try to do what you're trying to do. What are they trying to do? Kill him, a man who told them the truth from God. But Abraham has been dead for 2,000 years. What are you talking about? How could Abraham not try to kill you when he's been dead for 2,000 years? You've been around that long? You were there? Yeah, right here, John 8:56. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day. He saw and was glad. Yeah, I've been around for a long time. I was there to see Abraham's reaction. When I announced to him I would be coming to save, he was elated, he was excited, and rejoiced when he saw me. Now the Jews get what he's saying. Now they're really confused. Look, the Jews like, wait. Abraham's been dead for 2,000 years, man. You're not even 50 years old. You're not even old enough to have seen Abraham. So look, so the Jews said to him, you're not yet 50 years old. Have you seen Abraham? You saw him? He doesn't correct them. Doesn't know, dummy. I didn't see him. Jesus said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. You know what he means? Yes. You know why? Don't be mistaken. I'm much older than 50 because you think I'm just a man. In my humanity, I'm not 50 years old, but I'm more than a man. And because I'm more than a man, I'm much older than you think. Let me tell you how old I am. Even before Abraham came into being, I already was, have been, and continue to be. Therefore, they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus himself went on out of the temple. See that? That's the answer. So according to Jesus, whom did Abraham see? Jesus said he saw me. All right. I'm going to show you how the Old Testament remembers this event. You ready? Going backwards. Should have started with Isaiah, but I want you to catch this. Yep, and I didn't know that, brother. But if you watch my sessions, I've addressed this 10 million times. Genesis 19, 24, 25. Note, and Yahweh rained on Sodom and Gomorrah, brimstone, and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the valley, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. Now watch, when God mentions this event, when God, through Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Amos, mentions this event, watch his language. Guys, watch, God speaking. I, God, overthrew you as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Why is he speaking of God in the third person? Why did he say, I overthrew you as I overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah? Because he's reminding them that there was a God on earth who brought fire, brimstone from a God in heaven to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. So I and that other one who's God work together. It's not simply God speaking of himself in the third person anymore. See that? I overthrew you as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and you're like a firebrand delivered from a blaze, yet you have not returned to me, declares Yahweh. Again, note when God speaks about destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, he's always referring to someone else as God. Here again, Jeremiah 50, verse 40. As when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah with its neighbors, declares Yahweh. Why didn't he say, as when I did it? Because there was a God on earth, Yahweh on earth as a man, who ate human food, that brought fire and brimstone from another one, a Yahweh in heaven, and they worked together. Are you seeing the pattern? All right. What the final time where he mentioned Sodom and Gomorrah, watch here, being destroyed, Isaiah 13, 17 to 19. Note who's speaking. Behold, I'm going to awaken the Medes, God speaking, against them, who will not think about silver or take pleasure in gold, and their bows will dash young men to pieces. They will not even have compassion on the fruit of the womb, nor will their eye pity children. It will be that Babylon, the beauty of kingdoms, the honor of the Chaldeans' pride, will be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. 3 times he mentions God in the third person destroying Sodom and Gomorrah.